Hi guys, and welcome back to Tangy Tea of Life. I'm your host Veronica. I have two special guests sitting with me tonight, sipping on some tea. Guys, you already know that May is the month of National Foster Care Month, and we have two ladies sitting in, Miss Gloria and also Miss Kristy sitting at the table with us. Welcome to Tangy Tea of Life.
We're so glad to be here.
Thank you. So glad to have you. So tonight, guys, we're going to be talking to Miss Gloria and also Miss Kristy because they are foster parents. So we're going to get the inside scoop of what it feels like and all of that stuff being a foster parent. So if you guys are out there and you are thinking about fostering a child, make sure you listen up because this is going to be some good tea tonight. All right, so Miss Gloria and Kristy, we're going to get started. How long have you guys been fostering kids?
I have been fostering since about 2014.
Okay.
I've been fostering now 11 years. January made the 11th year.
11 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so what, 4 years?
About
5
4
years?
years.
For you? Okay, so what made you all get involved in fostering kids?
Well, actually, I was working with the school district, and I did so well with the kids. The counselor recommended, she said, Gloria, I think you'd be a great foster parent. And I said, really? And she said, yes. She said, you need to look into it. Well, it took me about a year before I actually said yes. And when I started, the first child I started out with, it was a little difficult. But, with the agency there, we went through it and, we did fairly well. And once she left me, I received another child. And lo and behold, this was my love child because I adopted him.
Oh, wow.
And since I adopted him, I learned that children, I don't care who they are, they have a special story. And you can't just read just judge them by the cover. You have to actually read the pages. Mm-hmm. And the more I kept this child, I fell in love. And the children just continued to come. And I've enjoyed them.
Wow. That's an awesome story. That's how you started out. Wow. And you, Miss Kristy?
I have an aunt and uncle who were therapeutic foster parents, and I seen the kids they got and brought in their home, and from then on it was just something like, I love kids so much that I would love to do this. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I can do this as much as I love them. I know things will be demanding, and you have to find that match.
Yeah.
And I fell in love. The kids there, they would gravitate toward me. I mean, some really, you could see that they were needing somebody. Mm-hmm. And to be there for them, even though they weren't mine, because they were foster kids, mm-hmm. That's why I got into it, was because I seen how they were doing it and seeing their kids that they had. And I just fell in love with them. And I said, you know what? This is something that I really think I'm going to give a try and just see. And I've been doing it ever since.
You have to have a passion for kids to be a foster parent.
You do.
Because I'm quite sure you all ran into well, that's a question. Have you ran into any issues while fostering a child? Like, have you any issues where you had to say, no, I can't keep this one?
I've had to, for the safety of the other children in the home. Mm-hmm. It's not a choice that I came up with lightly. I had to give it some thought, but my first priority is the safety of everyone. Mm-hmm. And if I have multiple children in the home and myself, I have to think about them first, and right. That's what I do.
Right.
I try to work things out with the children that are acting out. I try my best, but when it gets to the point that it's becoming unsafe, then I have no choice but to request a removal before anything happens that I could have prevented.
Right.
And I would rather do that than someone get hurt, including the child that I'm having to disrupt placement for. because obviously he or she may need a little bit more than I'm able to offer. He or she may need a home with older kids, or just them. You know, there's different types, different situations.
Right.
And that's my thing. I just have to think about the safety of everyone.
Yeah. And after that incident, that still didn't stop you from
No, ma'am,
fostering.
it did not.
Yeah.
I continue to foster straight on.
Yeah.
Because you have to have a match. You have to match. Not everyone's gonna get along.
Right.
And some of these kids come from some tough backgrounds. I mean, they're really tough, and it makes it a little bit harder, especially if they don't like the other children in the home, or there's an age gap, or they just can't adjust to your home.
Right.
And it's no fault of theirs.
Right.
But it's just something that you have to take into consideration when you become a foster parent.
Right.
There's going to be times that it's going to be rocky, it's going to be rough, but the rewarding times overrule that. They really do.
What about you, Miss Gloria? You ever ran into any issues?
And Kristy, you are correct. I think that's the only time that I had to request a removal from my home, when I took in other kids, and I don't know whether it was a jealousy factor or what it was, but they became aggressive, and I felt for the safety of the other kids in my home. That's the only time, because I tried to work with these kids. You always have to look at where the kids come from. Even though they have improved, sometimes they have to be removed, and I've only done that twice. Now, I've had several foster children, and I hate it with a passion when they have to leave, but that safety is important.
Right.
And once they lose that faith and you can't draw them back in, then it's best to let them go before someone is hurt.
Right. And that's understandable. You don't want to see anyone get hurt,
No.
you know.
It is.
Especially a child.
Right.
I mean, you do what you can for them, but there's some you yourself just can't reach.
Right.
But maybe there are other adults out there that they can relate better to, that can reach them. It's not a negative on anyone's part.
Right.
It's just a lot of times we don't know what these children have been exposed to.
Yeah, exactly.
We have no idea a lot of times. And you just have to take what you get and try to deal with it the best way you can.
Now, do you all have kids of your own?
I do.
I mean, outside of the foster kids, do you have kids of your own?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I have a 20-year-old son and my 7-year-old niece that I'm raising.
So how did they react when you started bringing the foster kids in the house?
My son, he was mid-teens, upper teens. He was okay with it. At first, it took some getting used to, because he was used to being the only child, and he was spoiled. But once they came into the home, he was okay with it. He would help them. He would interact with them. He was like a big brother, because a lot of them were younger than he was.
Yeah.
Maybe a year, 2 years younger, but he would interact with them, and he was always nice to them, and he treated them with respect, just like they had been there all their lives.
Yeah. And that will make the kids that's coming in feel comfortable as well.
Exactly,
You know.
because he would introduce them to, because at that time I was taking boys, because I had a son. And I was the only female in the home, so I felt more comfortable with boys. So he made them feel welcome. He would introduce them to his friends, and that really made it easy on some of these boys.
Yeah.
Especially some of the tougher ones that I had got. They seen how he was raised, seen how things were with him, and they kind of adjusted to that, because they knew they had family. To them, they had family there. Even though it wasn't blood related, they had someone they could count on.
Right.
They had a couple people they could count on in the home with them at that time. And that made a big difference for them, just knowing that we were there.
Right.
So.
And you, Miss Gloria?
Yes, I have 2 daughters, one living in Atlanta, and I have one at home who's a nurse, and she helps me tremendously. the thing is, like you say, sometimes kids are compatible, some are not. And I cater to the younger children because with my daughter, sometimes you get these the teenagers, and they say things that are disrespectful. And, you know, sometimes your older children take that
Yes.
offensively.
Yeah.
And, you know, and
That's true.
for peace in my home, I prefer the younger kids because she does assist me with them. And the things that come out of little kids' mouth, you know they can't help it. So we work it that way. I listen to my daughters, and they say, "Mama, yeah, we can work this. We can do this."
Yeah.
And they're most loving because she assists me very well with these children.
It's
That's
great.
awesome when you have older kids that can help out, you know, with the
Yes.
foster kids as well. That's a big deal.
Yes, it is. It's a family issue.
Yeah.
Well, not a negative issue, but it's a family gathering time where those kids, when they come into your home, they're part of your family.
Right.
No matter what.
Yeah.
When a child enters your home,
That's-
as far as I'm concerned and
Yeah.
she's concerned,
That's it.
they're
Your
part-
family
your
now.
family
It is a
now.
family.
And it doesn't have to, you know, it could be anyone, not just foster kids, but anyone. You come into someone's home, that's their private territory, and you're allowing them. And why wouldn't you if you're allowing them to come in? Why wouldn't you treat them like part of your family?
Exactly.
That's the way I look at things.
Yeah. Okay, so from out of that, I got that you foster boys.
I did.
You did.
I did.
And you like the
I love
younger.
the younger. All of them are fine, but I prefer the young one because of our family, you know, surrounding and things that we do in our family. And like I say, I love the younger ones because I can work with them more, and I have more for them to do, more so than the older children. They have their own agenda,
Right.
and we have our agenda.
Yeah.
And my preference, the younger children.
And that was the question I was going to ask. Do y'all have an age limit?
Yes, now that my son is living on his own, he's an adult now, and I have my 7-year-old niece living with me, I choose to go with the younger children, usually 0 to around 11 or 12. I have taken in teenagers like for respite or an emergency placement.
Yeah.
And depending on the situation, but that's my age preference because I like to keep all the kids that I have in my home at that time around the same age. And with her being 7, I have more children's things. And with my son, I have all of his boy toys that
Yeah.
you want to call.
Yeah.
And then she has all these girls things. So I'm able to take girls and boys because of their age right now. And I just have so much for the younger children.
Right.
That I don't think my house is appropriate for older children, but there's more things for us to do at home with the younger children because that's basically how my house is set up.
Right.
And I want whoever the child is in my home to feel comfortable and have everything that they can possibly have.
Right.
And we just have so much for the younger children.
So that's what.
So
you
that's
prefer.
what I prefer.
Yeah.
That's what I prefer.
That's good.
Well, like I said, I love the younger kids. The older kids are fine. Most homes like their older children because they really don't want to do the activities that you have for younger kids. Some of them like a little slow pace. They like more matured kids. And these kids are wonderful and they're lovely. But I just prefer the younger children because of my home makeup and the things that we do, the places that we go. The younger children would suit my home better.
Right. So I mean, it's all your preference, what you prefer, you know. Now, speaking of prefer, how do you go about? Do y'all pick the race of the kids, or how does that work? Do y'all get to choose the race you want in your homes, or?
We never get to choose the race of a kid. When they call and ask, "Are you willing to take this child?" I don't ask the race because it doesn't matter. A child is a child.
Right.
I don't care what race they are. I'm gonna love them just the same. All you gotta possess is love, faith, and charity. If you have love and you have faith and you can give love to a child,
That's right.
it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Love doesn't have an age or color or
No, it
anything
doesn't.
on
Exactly
it.
right.
As long as you have love in your heart.
Yes, all the children need it. No
Yes.
matter what the circumstances are, they need to love.
Yes.
And every child needs to know there is someone out there that cares about them.
And see, and that's the thing, like you see posts on Facebook or, you know, videos of like a white mom trying to do a black child's hair, or a black mom trying to do a white child's hair, and they're like, oh, she don't know what she's doing, she can't style the hair. Like, do y'all have any of those issues when it comes to the kids that you foster, like as far as hairdos and the style of music? And
I had that issue. Luckily, I have friends of all races, and I'm the first to ask you, you know, look, I've got this child. I don't know how to do his hair. And before I go and do something that will mess the child's hair up or harm the child's head or anything, I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask, what do you think that I need to put on this child's hair to make it look good? What kind of shampoo, what type of conditioner do I need to use? You know, this is kind of hair, it's curly, it's coarse. You know, what would go for this child? And they will tell me, and I'll go try it out. Now, if the child is old enough, because you do get some mature 7, 8, 9-year-olds
that want to do their own.
Exactly, and they are used to a certain type, and they know. Then you can kind of go by them. But when you get the younger ones that aren't really sure, then you have to ask. And there is nothing wrong with asking.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with asking.
That's the only way you're gonna know, right?
Exactly. And because I would never let that stop me from getting a child of a different race.
Right.
That is one of the least things.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want that to be an issue. Well, I don't know how to do their hair, so maybe I won't get this child because of this race. That should not be a big issue at all.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people out there on the web, on Facebook, anywhere that will help you. There's support groups.
You can Google anything.
Exactly, but there's support groups that you can ask. I'll tell you, I honestly had an African American child, and she was an infant, but she was getting older and she was getting her hair, and it was coarse. I stopped in the Walmart aisle. Had no clue who the lady was.
Yeah.
Had no clue. But I was sitting there looking at the stuff, and I asked her, I said, ma'am, will you please help me?
Yeah.
Look, I've got this baby. I didn't have the baby with me at the time. So I asked the lady, and I told her, I said, you know, she's just getting hair, and it's kind of rough. And she told me what to get.
Yeah.
And I went home, and I used it on the baby. And everything was
That's
fine.
the only way you're
I
gonna find
stopped
out.
and asked. I mean,
Yeah.
because I thought I was going to be big, you know, going there and just look at the stuff and get it. And then
And
I
look
looked
at
at
the
all that
picture on
stuff.
there.
Yeah, and then I looked at all the stuff, and I was like, maybe I should have asked first. But there was a lady in there. She was doing the same thing, getting stuff for her hair. And I just asked her, you know, hey, you mind helping me?
Right.
And she was just as sweet as she could be. And she told me what she would recommend. And I got it. So
from there.
exactly, you have to learn. It's a
Yeah.
learning process.
I can't
Even with
imagine.
your own child,
Yeah,
your
definitely.
biological, it's a learning process.
Yeah.
They don't come with manuals.
Right.
You know, you have to treat the children as they are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not everything works for every child.
Exactly. Yes. You got anything to add, Miss Gloria?
Trial and error. That's why
Yes.
GOOGLE is in place, and YouTube. And
Yes.
I will ask, but you know, a lot of things I do by trial and error. You know, I try to, and I do it with my own kids. You know, kids have different hairstyles, different hair textures, and sometimes if you get something that's, and I've always learned, if it's something you can eat, you can put it on the hair. If it's
Okay.
something.
Avocado.
If you can't eat it, don't put it on a child's hair.
Well,
It's a
that's
banana.
what I'm learning over here too now. So.
Oh man. Well, would you all ever adopt any of the kids that you foster? Like you so in love with that child, you just want them to be there all the time as your own.
Well, like I said before, I always wanted a boy. I had girls. So when I fostered this little 5-year-old boy, he had autism. He had autism during that time, and he was in diapers. And I potty trained him in about 6 weeks. And when you take care of a child, it becomes your child. You have that passion and that love for this child. You don't want anybody to get this child and harm this child.
Right.
So I adopted this little boy.
Oh.
Even with all his issues.
Yeah.
I do things trial and error. I learn, I research. I ask questions. I find everything that I can possibly find for this child. So I don't adopt all children, but sometimes in your life, there's a special child, and you know when you're supposed to take that child, when you can go to sleep and say, God, what do you want me to do? And if you feel in your heart, in your soul, that you have to have it, and if it bothers you so bad, this is your child, I take that child.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I've not adopted anymore because I haven't found a child as special as he was.
Yeah.
But when I do, I'll let him know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Wow. What about you, Kristy?
I have not adopted as of yet, but I am approved to adopt. And my biggest reason for being approved to adopt is because if a child, like she said, does come in my home, I have not had maybe a few children that's come up for adoption after they left my home. But if one does come up for adoption, I want to be able to adopt that child if I want, if I think that's a good fit for that child.
Right.
Because if I've had a child for 2-3 years and they're available for adoption, as I just can't see, and I'm not gonna say never, but I just can't see myself letting that child go.
Right.
I just can't. I don't.
Because
And
they've been with you for
they've
so
been with me
long.
for so long, because I've had children for over a year, that there's no way I could let them go to an adoptive home. Now, I understand the goal is reunification.
Mhm.
I understand that, and I'm all for that if that's in the best interest for the children.
Right.
But if they do become available for adoption, then, even after a year, I'm like, I can't let these children go because they're part of my family.
Right.
I just, and, like she said, it may not be, you may get certain kids that, you just don't have that feeling
Mm-hmm.
with some kids, but for that one that does, I want to be available.
Yeah.
I want to have everything in order so we can get the process moving.
Right.
And that child does not have to stay in foster care any longer than necessary.
Yeah. And not saying that you don't care for the kids that you get, of course
Yes,
not.
yeah,
But it's
exactly.
something about
A special
that.
connection.
Exactly,
You
especially,
have to
you
feel
do,
it.
you do,
Yeah.
and you do have,
For all children.
yeah,
Yeah.
certain connections with some, but you love them all, you treat them all the same, and you're there for every one of them, and you let them know that.
Right.
You don't do for one without doing for the other.
Mhm.
As long as they're in your home, you do for all of them, you treat them the same, you
Yeah.
love them. But as far as adoption,
Mm-hmm.
that becomes, well, do I think I'm the best fit for this child for the rest of his or her life?
Right.
And the rest of your life,
Yeah.
or my life. Because that's a lifelong
Right.
journey right
Commitment,
there.
yeah.
Exactly. So you have to be sure that that's best for you and the child.
Right.
Not just you, like, well, I'm going to save this child from foster care.
Right.
No, are you the best
Mm-hmm.
outlet for this child? for
And you got
foster
to
care?
consider your other kids.
Yes,
and,
you have to take into you have a lot of factors to
Yeah.
consider. It's not something that's made lightly
Right.
by any means. You have to take into the future, mainly the future too.
Mhm.
What is this child going to require in the future?
Right.
Am I going to be able to meet his or her future needs?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big issue that, foster parents have to take into consideration.
Yeah.
If you're able to do that, not just the foster care part of it, but the lifelong part
Yeah.
of it. Because they can be in foster care for a day, up to years.
Mhm.
So, but once that adoption, they're yours.
They're yours.
Yes.
And that's the next question. How long have what's the longest a child stayed in your home, as far as you fostering them?
3 years for
3?
me, yes.
Wow.
Mhm.
And that wasn't the one you kept.
No, that wasn't the one I kept. It was,
3 years.
yeah, 3 years.
But they
7
wasn't up for
twins.
adoption.
Um,
They went back to.
They were up for adoption. I didn't feel
You didn't
at
have
the
a feeling.
time that these were to be my children.
Mm-hmm.
I figured they were best suited for someone else.
Mhm.
So what I did, I kind of challenged it at first, but not came to my senses and said, well, you're not adopting this child, so, or these children, so, let go. after keeping children for so long,
Yes.
they become a part of you.
Right.
And you are interested in their welfare. I don't
Yes.
care where they go. But if you can't adopt, you have to let them go.
Yes.
And that's what I did.
Oh, so that's how that works. You
Yeah.
just can't keep them.
No, you keep them long enough to be adopted, or for them to clear the termination of rights, and they have to be placed. You know, they normally have to want to place them within a year or maybe two. Sometimes you have circumstances where you have to keep them a little longer, and sometimes these kids that are in the agency for so many years, and they're not adopted by a teen, they really, it's hard for them to get adopted. And some of them remain in your home until either you give them up or until they're old enough to make their own decisions and be placed with someone somewhere else or in a home.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. How long has it been for you, Kristy?
A little over a year. It's been a little over a year for me. And we don't know what's going to happen. That's one thing about foster care. We don't know how long these children are going to be with us.
Right.
The time varies. But it's been a little over a year from my longest. Most of mine have actually went back home. Which is a good thing. If, like I said, if that's in the best interest of the child,
Right.
that is great. I've had some, maybe, I think the shortest was like a month, then they went to family. So it varies, but the longest for me is a year.
So do you all keep in contact with the kids that have been in your home and already left? Like, do you all stay connected even if they go back to their families?
I do. I've had a couple of children that really wanted to remain with me, and all races actually. And once they went back home to their mom, they missed me so much. Me and their mother had a rapport. We called each other. We went out for dinner. We went shopping for the kids. So I've had several kids. I've had some older ones that have babies and come back, but they couldn't stay with me because, I already had kids in the home.
Right.
And I like that.
Yes.
A couple of them, for some odd reason or other, the family that adopted them wouldn't let them keep in touch.
Yeah.
It kind of hurt
And
me.
that's sad.
But, they got Facebook out there, so sometimes,
That's right. That's how you
That's
stay
true.
connected.
Yes.
So there's ways around that.
Yes.
Yes, there is.
That's awesome. And that's kind of, I don't understand. I mean, we don't have to get in that, but I don't understand why the parent wouldn't let them stay connected to you all. I mean, they've been in your home, you raise them like your own kids, so that's another topic.
Well, I get
Yes.
calls all the time.
That's good. That's good.
Yes, that's very
What about
good.
you?
Yes, ma'am. I actually try to get along with the parents
Yeah.
because we both have the same goal, what's best for the child.
That's right.
I've had the baby I was talking about earlier. Her mom, and she was an infant, and her mom and I still talk.
That's,
I've actually been able to go get her and her sister that was not in my home at the time and bring them back to my home for the weekend.
aw.
Mom has
So
allowed
have I.
me to
Wow.
get them whenever I want to, because and she made me feel so good. She told me, she said, Miss Kristy, I know my baby was taken care of when she was with you.
Exactly.
She said, I seen that. And they've come to my home several times after. And I try to do visits if I can, but I also take into consideration what you have to be sure that before you get into something that deep, that everybody's on the same page.
Oh, yeah.
That we're there for the children.
Right.
Exactly.
And it's not trying to get information or anything.
Yeah.
But I love getting to know the parents of my foster children.
Yeah.
I love it. Because because I want them to know their child is taken care of.
Right.
Because no matter what, they love their children. And they are removed for all sorts of reasons.
Right.
And I am not one to judge.
Yeah,
Who am I to judge that
exactly.
person?
Yeah.
I don't know the story. I
Right.
don't know a lot of times exactly why they were removed.
Mhm.
All I know is I'm providing a decent home for your child until
You get yourself.
you get straight or do
Right.
whatever it is that you need to do. And it makes it it does make it easier when you have that contact with the birth parents.
Yeah.
Because you get to talk with them, you discuss things. You can even, I'll even ask, like haircuts for the boys. How do you like his haircut?
Yeah.
Look, or for example, like the tooth fairy.
Yeah.
This is what I give, hey, he lost a tooth.
Yeah.
This is what I give my children when they lose a tooth. Is this okay with you, or would you rather me give them
Yeah.
something else? I talk with them about that because the end goal is for them to go home. And I want to keep as much of the same things as at home as it is at my house, same kind of schedule.
Yeah.
So if they get, say, $5 for a tooth, I'll ask Mom.
You a good tooth fairy.
I'll say, $5, and I say, is that good for you? Is that okay, or would you rather me give less or something?
Yeah.
And she'll say, well, that's fine, mate. If that's okay with you, you go ahead. I've tried to include them as much as possible.
Well, see, that's good because I didn't even know that you all can have contact with the
Yes.
parents while their kids are in your
Yes,
home.
ma'am.
So that's a good thing.
That's a very good thing. And when the kids see us talking,
Yeah.
or hear us talking, see us talking, or see us interacting when I do my visits, because I do some visits with my
Right.
kids and the parents, the kids, it relaxes them a little bit more because they see us getting along.
Right.
So they're more comfortable, and they know, look, she talks to Mommy. She
Right.
talks to Daddy.
Yeah.
So, I got to behave because,
Yeah.
that, or, can I call Mommy? They don't
Yeah.
have to worry about, well, no, we better not, we got to wait on the caseworker being
Right.
there. We can do that kind of thing.
That's good.
And it's, I think, the best for the children.
Yeah.
The best for the children.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
So, do you all go through training, like before you are able to foster kids, and also during while y'all have the kids in the home? Like, do y'all go to special training meetings or anything like that?
We do. We have training before we become foster parents. We have training each year. We have to complete so many hours of update and training to maintain our license. And
So you have to be licensed to be a
yes,
foster parent.
you have to be licensed. Every year we have to turn in paperwork, do background check, fingerprint every so often. So yes, you have to,
That's great.
yes, be certified to be a therapeutic foster parent.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I knew about the background check from Miss
Yes.
Lurleen and Chris last week, but I didn't know it was like a yearly thing that you
Yes.
all.
Every
That's
year
good,
you have
though.
to do paperwork.
That's
It's very good
Yeah.
because, if I was in that situation and my child was in a
right.
home,
I want to know.
I
who-
want exactly. I want to know that
Yeah.
they've done background checks, fingerprints.
Right.
They've come out to the home and everything's up to code. Fire inspection. You have to
Yeah.
have that every year. So at least I know that there's someone inside that home.
Right.
Seeing that home where my child is staying.
Exactly.
And then, like I said, no matter what that child was taken for, the parent needs to feel comfortable knowing
That's
where
right.
their child is, because that's their child.
And safety is
It's
first.
safe, exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
things change from year to year.
Yeah,
So
and see, I
you
wasn't even
have to have
thinking
an
like
update,
that. I
yes.
was thinking, okay, well, as long as they're clean that first time when they.
No, every
Yeah,
year.
that's good.
Every year.
Wow.
Caseworker comes, depending on the level of the child you have in your home, that's how many times they come. So you know they come at least once.
Do they pop up or do they call? I want some pop ups.
Well, honey dear, if they pop up at my house, there'll be nobody home. Because I'm constantly busy, I'm constantly
That's
gone.
true.
I
So,
mean,
your
Yes.
families, when they trust and they know what our background is and how we take care of children, why would you have to pop up? What are you looking for?
But what
If
about
you
the
know
one-
the people that you license, why would you have
Well-
to do that? Now, you are right. There
Yeah.
are homes, but the agency will know. When you check on these kids on a monthly, weekly,
Yeah.
every 2 week, they know, they see. They have access to the children, they can talk to the children, they can ask any questions that they want to ask. So why would you, now, if you feel that something, or you heard that something
Yeah.
funny is going on at a home, or the children can be at risk, well, maybe so. But if you feel comfortable with your parents and you keep in constant touch with them, then why is
Yeah.
the need? There has to be a trust factor there.
Yes.
You
That's
have to
true.
know what you're dealing with. And this is the reason we have these trainings and these background checks and licensing updates every year to make sure nothing has changed.
And see, that's the thing, not to cut you off. I'm thinking of the ones that got some issues going on, you know, that the kids may feel threatened by them. I mean,
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Not
That's
the
when I
agency
say
when I'm
pop-ups.
with. Now,
Yeah.
you know, anything can happen.
Yeah.
But I'm not aware of it because I think our agency does a pretty good, thorough check on their parents, and
Yes,
they
they do.
know who they license.
Right.
Yeah. So it may be things going on, but
Yeah.
therapeutic parents are special parents,
yeah.
and they treat us with respect.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
Right.
Mhm.
And they are there 100% of the time if we need anything.
Right.
It doesn't matter time or day. It don't matter if it's holiday, if it's 1 o'clock in the morning, a Saturday or a Sunday, they're in church. If we call, because they know if we call, we need something.
Yeah.
And if, just say our caseworker or our treatment coordinator is out of the office on vacation or something, there is always somebody there willing to help us.
That's
Even Miss Jerry.
yeah.
She will do her best to help you if
Right.
everybody's tied up or just something that you might need to, your caseworker right there, and you might just need to talk to her just to kind of get her feel on things. She's more than willing to talk with you. I mean, she does a
Certainly,
wonderful
she's
job.
Sweet.
Yes, I do believe we are with one. I've been with actually a couple different agencies, and this is the best agency.
Okay, so you know what I'm saying when I say some of them do need to pop up.
Yes.
Right.
Well, honestly, excuse me.
I'm sorry.
But honestly, they have a right to do anything that they want. Now, sometimes because of the severity of the children that we have, sometimes schools and stuff report little activities,
Yeah.
and it's not always true. So
Yeah.
the agency will pop
Exactly.
right up there.
Yeah.
They will check, they will investigate, and you get feedback on it.
Yeah, because a lot
So
of our
anything
kids-
is possible,
Yeah.
yes.
Because a lot of our kids go to daycare or in school, so they're easily able to contact a daycare worker
Yeah.
or come out to the school or call the school and get the information on the child. You know,
Yeah.
well, how was the child dressed? How does the child seem to you? They can come to the school and pop up.
Yeah.
I've had that happen, especially with guardian ad litem's.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, they
like
pop up
schools
at
and stuff.
school, and I have no idea they're coming till I get called to the office
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
you
one's
do
there.
that
You know,
sometimes.
but I'm happy to see them
Yeah.
because I know
Because you know you're doing what you're
I
supposed
know I'm
to do.
doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
And like I said, our caseworker checks on us. I mean, it's like one big family.
Yeah, that's
A
good.
lot of people say that, but ours really is.
Yeah.
Because I've never had not one time where I called and needed something and somebody would not help me.
Right.
And that to me means a lot. It means a lot because some of these kids we get can be real difficult.
Yeah.
Or we can run into problems with paperwork. We need this to register them for school.
Yeah.
We need to know, can the child do this? Is there anything about the child that we don't get from DSS
Yeah.
perhaps, but they can, so we call them and they're on it.
Y'all have
They're
big
on it.
responsibility.
We do. But
Registering the kids for school shopping, and y'all handle that as well?
Yes,
or-
ma'am.
Wow.
And I'm feeling like same for her. When that child enters your home, they're
That's your child, yeah.
That's your child.
My children
Wow.
are spoiled.
Yes, yes.
I can believe that.
My
I
children
can
are
believe
spoiled,
that.
and
Yeah, no,
I
mine tell you.
haven't- I have not really, well, I won't say, because when my kids go to school, when I can get feedback from a teacher and say, man, that's the best dressed kid. I didn't know they were foster kids. You dress for, I said, well, they're a kid. What do you mean?
Right,
They're
like
a
you
best
just
dressed
supposed
foster kid. What do you mean? They're dressed like
Exactly.
any
Yeah.
other kid supposed to be dressed.
Right.
And they will let the agency know if you're doing a good job with the kids. And so far, I have not had any feedback on any bad complaint about me, about dressing or nursing or sending the kids to school or them having not been able to do their work.
Right.
You know, I've had an incident with a child one time, but this child was medication. He probably might say anything, but they investigated,
Yeah.
and they didn't find anything to be true. So, you know, anything can happen.
Right.
You can get called to school at any time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, just talking with you ladies, you all seem like awesome parents. So I feel like any child that comes in y'all home are well taken care of.
Thank you, because
And-
we do our best, that's for sure.
I mean, hats off to you ladies for taking these kids in. But we're gonna wrap it up. But before we go, what advice would you all give someone that may be out there that's thinking about fostering a child? What's some advice you can give them?
You are going to hear bad stories. You're going to hear good stories. Every child that comes in your home is different. You have to treat the child based on who the child is. It's like anything. If your heart is in it, if your mind is in it, then you can make it work. Yeah, you have to be a match, because not every child that comes in your home is going to fit in. But if it's in your heart to do it, you'll be led to it. You'll know it. And when that child comes in your home, you'll know right then if this was meant for you or not. It's not for it's not for everyone. I'll be honest with you. It is not for everyone. These children can be difficult. They can be easy. You just do the best with what you have, the information you have. You treat the child like you would your own, with respect. You have to respect these children if you want to get respect. That's what I've always told them. You have to understand that there's a lot to it with some of these children, but it's not a burden by any means, because you're helping someone and you're who that child looks to be safe. And there is such a big need for foster homes. There is such a big need. And, like, we may just take the younger ones because that's what our homes are set up for. But there's teenagers out there that would fit in. Like I said, not everybody's going to fit in. But my biggest advice is, if you think you want to do this, try it out. You won't ever know until you try it and get a child in your home and see how it goes. And then you know if you're meant for it or not. That's my biggest thing, is just go for it and try it.
Have you ever heard of the saying, I am not my brother's keeper?
Yes.
Well, nowadays, you are your brother's keeper, because there are so many children out there that have been abused, and many things has happened to these children, and they need a safe haven. And if you're willing, if you have a heart, if you have a love in your heart, if you have compassion, if you have faith without work is no good. But if you have faith and you can take a child and make a difference in that child's life, if you can love and you can nurture this child, and you can either save this child's life and make them where they can fit into society, even though they can come up in a bad home, you can make the best of a bad situation. So I refer you to try it. Take a kid into your home, love that kid, nurture that kid, do the best you can, treat them like you're a child, make sure you're there for their every need. They need it, they want it. Most of these kids, the greatest of all these things is love. If you can offer them love, you've offered them a whole world of good stuff. It's many things. All parenting techniques are different, but when the best thing you can do for a child when he enters your home is let them know you're there for them, you love them. And when a child can come to you and call you mom, and you say, why are you calling me mom? Because you act like my mom. Oh, that is so rewarding. And a lot of parents don't want the kids to say mom, but I don't mind. They can call me whatever they feel comfortable calling me, if it's a mom. And you could be that mom that they've never had.
That's right.
Exactly.
And like I say, love is the greatest. Peace be with you.
Yes, and on top of that, if you're not sure about being a full-time foster parent, start out you have to do the same training, and I'll start out as a respite parent or an emergency placement parent. You know, but emergency placements, they could eventually stay with you, or they could be moved like the next day. Emergency placements could be like in the middle of the night or on the weekend. And potentially could be longer if you choose to keep that child or do respite, because there's a lot of respite parents out there that need respite care. You can start off doing that. It's not necessarily the exact same thing because you won't have all the requirements for that child that the actual foster parent will have.
Right.
But you'll see what it's like having children in your home. And I think for parents that aren't exactly sure yet, hadn't made their mind up completely, that would be a good start.
Yeah.
Good start to see exactly, get their feet in, see, well, I wonder if I can do this full time. Instead of them not being sure, jumping in it and then saying, no, I don't know how much. Start out respite, start out emergency placement,
And see
you know,
how
and see how
get
you
the feeling.
feel of having a child come in your home overnight.
Well, ladies, we can talk for another hour. I really appreciate y'all coming in and sharing your thoughts and your feelings and expressing yourself about being a foster parent. That is amazing. And guys, if you're out there and you're thinking about fostering a child, take these ladies' advice. They've been doing it for quite some time now, and it will be a beautiful experience. I just pray about it and go from there. If you have love in your heart, you definitely can love a child that is not yours. Okay? I don't have a number for you. Do you all have a number that they can call? Or I can go back to my last video from last week with Miss Lurleen and put the number
I do.
up. You do have a
I
number?
do.
Okay.
Call SCYAP, South Carolina Youth Advocate Agency. The number is 843-661-7080. And you won't regret it.
And that number one more time?
The number is 843-661-7080.
All right, guys, get on that phone and make a difference in a child's life.
Yes, there's a lot of children out there that need you. You're what can be the life-changing savior for this child.
Yes.
And Kristy and Gloria will be your referring people.
Yes, we will. And feel free, if you need to look us up on Facebook or any way you can, we will be more than happy to answer any questions you have about the Youth Advocate Program, because we really, really love it. And it's a good agency. And I think both of us would be more than willing to answer any questions you may have about the children or the agency. Just look us up and we will do whatever we can to assist you.
Thank you, ladies, so much once again for coming and sharing your stories with us.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate you for sitting down and having some tea. All right, guys, that's going to do it for Tangy Tea of Life. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to leave comments below. Go to Facebook and like our page, Tangy Tea of Life. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tangy Tea of Life. And don't forget to click that bell so that you can get notifications for the next video. All right, guys, until next time, we'll see you then. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.